G'day fellas, welcome back to another video for the brand new DLC for Age of Empires 3, the definitive edition, which is called the African Royals. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at all the brand new maps and explain them, show them to you so that you know what you're doing when you get into the game and you select African maps as your option. Now, keep in mind, the map rotation for quick search is probably going to be changed as well, and probably the standard map pools as well, so it's important that you become familiar with each of these maps. So let's get into it. We're going to start in alphabetical order with the map Atlas. So Atlas is a map that is a treaty map it's designed to be. So with this treaty map, you can see that in the middle there is a very large divide, and there's a single way through, a safe trading post for both players, and plenty of livestock out on the map, as well as a very clear middle point for fighting to happen. So I think this is a great map for treaty, and I suspect it's probably going to become the standard map for players who do enjoy that game mode. Let's move on to the second map. The second map is going to be Darfur. So this map here, obviously you can see that there is a lake down towards the south. Doesn't look like it's got any fish in it though. There's 3 trading posts, and we've got just a couple of livestock dotted around the map. Players spawn relatively close to each other, and there are some interesting choke points that you can try and utilize to wall at the north of the map. So nothing too crazy on this map, a very standard map. Let's move on to the next map. So I haven't played on this map, but I have played on this map right here, which is the Gold Coast. I'm a big fan of this map. This is definitely one of my favorites. So plentiful hunts, lots of trees to chop down, and lots of coin mines. One of the interesting things to note is that the trade route is indeed in the water. So this is a water trade route. It's a caravel, then gets upgraded to a galleon. It's a really, really cool map, and I think it's incredibly well designed. There's a little bit of fish up here in the pond to the north, a lot of fish down here to the south, and a great map. Very easy to wall across, and a couple of sneaky coin mines up the north as well. Often they spawn right on the edges of the map, so make sure you do go in and scout those out. But yes, hunts are very plentiful on this map, and often you'll find that they do kind of group down here towards the beach. This is something that I do notice, so make sure that if you haven't uncovered that, go and uncover that, because there's going to be hunts that do kind of sneak their way down there. One of the things to note is that every mine on this map is a gold mine, which means it's going to be a 5,000 coin mine, and that includes these gold mines out over here. So if you're running out of coin in the late game, make sure you send 20 villagers over here to go and grab it. Let's move on to the next map. So this map is called Great Rift. So I don't think I've played this map, so I can't really say for certain what I know about this map, but just taking a look at it, we can see that there's 2 trading posts that are towards the middle of the map that are going to be shared and fought over by each player. And it looks like that within this we've got a couple of hills that are out on the extremities of the map, and some shallow waters that continue throughout the center. Other than that, the hunts look quite plentiful, but you're definitely going to have to get out of your base. There's not a lot of space behind your town center like we do see on some other maps. So as an example, back on that second map that we saw, Darfur, you can see that there's plenty of space behind your town center, but on that map there's not so much. So kind of a bit like Yukon, in that you're a little bit boxed in, I would say. So let's move on to the next map. So I played this map many times. So this is Highlands. So one of the things to note about this map is you do spawn very close to your opponent, and that this middle part, this is a ridge, and then it goes down towards the lowlands. Now, one of the things to note is you don't have a lot of resources on this map. So you spawn with your starting hunt. Your next hunt is very far away, so you do need to be careful. Be cognizant of it. Locate that second hunt nice and early, and you can see that hunts are very limited around the middle. So in the Highlands, there's plenty of hunts up here that you're going to need to fight your opponent over, but realistically, these hunts here are difficult to actually acquire because they do run away. And keep in mind, this in the middle here, you can build. This isn't water. This is a mountain. You can traverse through it. Obviously, the trading post out towards the edge of the map as well. But yeah, a good map. I like this one, and probably one that you should be walling on a little bit, because there are these cliffs that you can wall. So maybe wall here. Maybe we do a wall up here and then wall across, something like that. You know, do lots of little segments. But yeah, it's got 6 trading posts in total. So
Drongo, those are apparently elephant hunts. Those 3 that you see, so that might be a lot more food.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's still not going to be a huge amount. So 3,000. So for anybody wondering who that was that just came in like that, that was Fitzbro. Fitzbro, how you doing?
Doing great.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear. It's Friday night for you at the moment. You've just told the friends from work that you can't go out, so you're going to be having a night of Age of Empires. Yeah, exactly. We got maps to learn. That's exactly what we're doing now. I played on this map plenty of times. This map's called Horn. So it is.
I like this one.
Yeah, this is a great map. Now, you do spawn very close to your opponent, and keep in mind, plentiful resources on this map once again. So lots of coin mines, lots of hunts to be had, and I do like the way that you expand away from your opponent, so you're expanding along this shoreline. But one of the things to keep in mind is obviously there is this large water routes, or large water route that does exist, and so there's 3 separate trading lines here. You've got the land one that's in the middle, the caravel to the south, and then the caravel to the north. So a lot of good stuff here. Whales in the map as well. Don't think there's any livestock on this map though, so something to be aware of.
There is something very important on this map.
Yes, you do spawn with a catamaran. So you can see that each player spawns with a catamaran down here to the south, and on that catamaran you can actually train Ace the elephant. So if you're wondering who Ace the elephant is, he is a very important piece of lore in the Age of Empires community. Make sure you give him a Google.
A wise elephant.
Yes, Azamk is the elephant that we're talking about. So let's move on to the next map. So the next map is Lake Chad. So a curious map. Now, you might think with a lake like this, there would be a spawn point for your water shipment, and that is not the case. So by design, the developers have specifically said, we didn't want to encourage frigates to be shipped on maps like this, because you can imagine, a fast fortress into a frigate is going to be very strong. You can probably take out this trading post, probably take out this trading post, probably control this trading post as well. So it would be very, very strong. So they've decided if you want to have access to the water, you're going to have to build a dock, you're going to have to train a frigate and do it the old school way. But other than that, a lot of resources up towards the north. You can just see how many hunts there are. So it's going to be fighting around the north, and then towards the south, obviously those trading posts are going to be very important to contest. A lot of resources, but I like the way that there's no real direct way towards your opponent. You're going to have to go the long way around. Now that is obviously until you build a caravel and you move everybody over. So something to consider. Now there are also islands in here as well. So I suspect you're probably going to be able to put up outposts and try and defend the water. So let's move on down towards the next map. It is a map that you may be familiar with. This is called Niger Delta. Now, this map also goes by the name of Darker, but it has been changed. It's been reskinned. It's a great map. I'm a big fan of this map. So towards the south, you've got this large lake or ocean. It looks like it's had its whales reduced. So it used to have 6 whales. It looks like it's only got 4 whales in it now. A whole bunch of fish. To the north, you've got 4 trading posts. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yaks that spawn up here towards the north. You want to be contesting these in the early game. You've got a very close spawn to your opponent, so beware of the rush. I think your build distance is about to here. I think that's about the closest you can build, about halfway towards these town centers. So something to be very, very conscious of. But most of the fighting will happen north of this location. There's also a pond here in the middle, which is very commonly used for frigates. You do have a water shipment point on this map, so people will move their water shipment point to the pond, and then drop a frigate in there. The frigate typically is able to reach this trading post and this trading post here, so be aware that if you do that, you're able to control those trading posts. Let's move down towards the next map. So the next map is Niger River. Now, this map is a little bit curious, I'll say this much, because you start, in addition to your town center, you actually start with a second town center wagon, a covered wagon. You start in the very first age. So you've got your town center and then a second town center that you can build. Now, this map, you can see that it's somewhat divided. You've got on the south side of the map, you've got your opponent who spawns, and it is very clearly a close spawn. But most of the fighting is probably going to happen on the north side of the map, because this is where you've actually got most of the resources. So you can see that down here, you've got 1, 2, 3 hunts, including your starting hunt, and then 1, 2, 3 hunts, and then you've got 2 hunts in the middle. So you can fight your opponent, you can rush your opponent, but maybe they move to the other side, and maybe they collect all the natural resources, so they'll be able to set up a new life on the side where the grass is a little bit greener. So that is something to consider. And so next map is Nile Valley. Now, you may have seen a very similar map to this called Fraser River. So this is a reskinned Fraser River. They've kind of changed it around a little bit. So you've got a plateau that you spawn in on. It's kind of like a StarCraft map. And then you've got these ramps that come down to the lower plateau. So you've got a coin mine down here, 4 coin mines on this side, 4 coin mines up here, and then a coin mine over that side. One of the differences is that there are fish in these small shallows. So there is no water point drop-off. So if you're playing the Japanese, you're not going to be able to drop your fishing boats into here with your home city shipment, but you are going to be able to build a dock here and get some fishing boats out though. So that is something to consider. When it comes to natural resources, the majority of them are down here towards the south. So throughout the game, you're going to be having to move away from your plateau down over onto your lower lands area, and making sure you're collecting all these resources. There are also 2 individual trade routes. So you can take both of these trading posts and upgrade it to a stagecoach. It will not affect this trade route up here to the north. Now we move on to the next map. Pepper Coast. Now, Pepper Coast is a bit of a curious map. You actually start with extra resources on this map. You may be familiar if you played back in the day with the map Carolina. It is exactly like Carolina. You start with extra resource crates, or if you've played Deccan, or Deccan as I like to call it, you start with extra resource crates. Now, it's not as much as Deccan that you start with, but it is still a lot of resource crates. Now, this is, I love this map. I think this is really, really cool. So first and foremost, you've got this water trade route down to the south, which has got the caravel. Then you've got the north trade route, which has got the 4 trading posts on it, and just so many resources. Plenty of space behind your town center for dropping those farms down if you need to. You can wall up, have a great time down here. Lots of natural resources up on the north. You've got berries as well as hunts. So there you go. It is a wonderful map. Now let's move on to the next map. So the next map is called Savannah. Now, I haven't actually played on this map, but we can see that it's got the trading post through the middle. It's got 2 small ponds. Now, they don't appear to have a drop-off location, a fishing drop-off location on this map. So it looks like for those Japanese players who've got 3 fishing boats to start with, you're not going to be able to do that. But see, maps like these are really, really good for Haudenosaunee because they can just get their dock, send it over here, or their wagon, make a dock here, and then just start fishing instantly. It's a very, very good map for, Haudenosaunee, Ottomans, doing those water builds. It's really, really going to be accessible for them. So a very nice map. A lot of natural resources is one of the common themes here. As a Sweden player, I look at this and I'm like, oh my god, I love it. There's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coin mines on my side right here, and then a 6 mine over here, and then on my opponent's side, it's the same thing. So a very, very rich map with a lot of resources on it. Let's move down onto the next map. So the next map that we're going to be looking at is called Sud, I think it's pronounced. What do you think, Fitz? Is it Sud? Sud?
Either one. I'm not sure, but I'm sure someone will let us know in the comments.
All right. Maybe it's Sud because there's 2 Ds, like Sud. But we'll see. We'll see. Either way, it's a little bit reminiscent of Bayou, the map in the original Age of Empires. And I say that because of this shallow lens. I don't think you can actually build on this. So you're only going to be able to build here on your main little island that you spawn in on. So you've got 1, 2, 3 trading posts that you've got that are on the trade route. Plenty of natural resources here. So something to be aware of is that it's actually quite a close spawn to your opponent. And the majority of the fighting is going to be over this middle trading post, I have noticed on the matches that I've played. So let's move on to the next map. So you may be familiar with this map. It was quite a popular map back in the day. So it's called Tassili. And it is not, it's not a silly map at all. It is, okay, that was terrible. It is a curious map. So you've got these ponds that often a lot of fighting will happen around. You can definitely exploit a lot of the pathing issues in the game. So by placing falconets down near the edges of these ponds, it's definitely going to be a little bit more difficult for units to get in on top of it. Not too many natural resources here, so we can see that there's 1 hunt, 2 hunts that are relatively close to the base. The next one is basically in the middle of the map, so you're going to have to get out on the map. You're going to have to fight. It's going to be difficult. Resources out towards each side of the map, trade posts on separate sides of the map. Both of the trading posts look to be protected by each player's respective town center, so both players are going to get 1 trading post each, it looks like, and then from there, if you want to upgrade Stagecoach, I think you'd be a little bit crazy to upgrade Stagecoach on this map if you can't take the trading post of your opponent. So a little bit difficult of a map, I would say, to analyze. And then at the back, it looks like we've got plenty of forest back here. I like this. I wish every map had forest like that at the back. Now we move on to the 15th and final map, and it is, of course, Tripolitania. And I love this map. I think this is a great map. It looks absolutely beautiful. So this map here, one of the things to note is you need to be very, very careful with your food, because if you hear Fitz laughing in the background, and there's a good reason why he's laughing, we just played on this map and we ran out of food really quickly. So essentially all your food spawns in the middle down here on the lowland. So up here, it's like a little bit of a plateau, and then you've got ramps, just kind of like in StarCraft as well. So all of the food spawns down there. You've got one extra hunt. So you have your starting hunt, and then an extra hunt. It's lying to you here. You see how it's got 3 hunts here within the TC? It's lying. That is not true. You do have berries that you start with, but unfortunately, not a lot when it comes to hunts. So
I think I built the wall on the wrong side of that trade route. I think we needed to put it to the north, so we have those middle hunts.
Yeah, so a great idea would be to wall in your opponent or get a trade route in along this side. Towards the north of the map, there's obviously a lot of whales. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whales, but not a lot of fish. They're very separated, the fish. So they are quite far apart. There's a single trade route that goes through the middle of the map, which is probably going to be contested, but I suspect that on this map, civilizations that are going to be very aggressive are going to be very successful, or civilizations that don't require a lot of resources in the early game are going to be successful. Civilizations like the Dutch, where they don't really have to leave their base. They're happy with, 1 or 2 hunts and a coin mine. That's them good for 12 minutes. Then once they've got their skirm goon, they're fine. So a really nice map. So keep in mind, guys, that's the brand new 15 maps. They're going to be with you in the new quick search pool. Not all of them are going to be in there. As an example, Atlas, which was that first map that we spoke about, is that treaty map. That's not going to be in there. I suspect maps like, is it Niger Delta or Niger River? I think Niger River. Yeah, I don't think Niger
Town Center map.
Niger River, yeah, with the extra town center. I don't think that's going to be in there. To be honest, I'd kind of like it to be in there, but I don't know how it's going to be for balance. Can you imagine playing against Portuguese, who already get a second town center in Age 2, and now they've got a town center in Age 1? Like, that'd be pretty crazy. And then they send colonial militia, and now you've just got 1 billion colonial militia to deal with. It'd be crazy. But look, if you're watching this one on YouTube, I hope that you've enjoyed this first look at all of the brand new maps for Age of Empires 3, the Definitive Edition. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.